Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and looks like the markets are a little green. Not anything major, but a little green. XRP on 24 hours up 3% at 233. Ethereum made a little push upward, but I think the market is trying to anticipate this. Today is the FOMC meeting at, I can't remember if it's 1 or 2 o'clock. Focus areas, rate decision, no cuts expected, end of QT. Economic projections and dot plot, future rate outlook, Powell's tone, hawkish or dovish. The market will react one way or another. Here is Matt Hogan talking about Bitcoin, but when I listen to these guys talk about Bitcoin, I'm thinking about the crypto market overall because it all applies.
There has been so much fundamentally positive news, and it's just been buried sort of in the background. We've caused ourselves to ignore it. There's the strategic Bitcoin reserve. There's the SEC pulling back on essentially every lawsuit. There's progress on stablecoin legislation. There's talk of market structure legislation. There was the White House Crypto Summit. These are game-changing positive developments that should put Bitcoin trading at $150,000 or $200,000 today. It's been suppressed because in the short term, this overhang of the economic uncertainty is weighing on the markets. I think if that is released, we're at new all-time highs quickly, and we're on our way to where I think we'll be at the end of the year, which is Bitcoin 200,000. So I think there's been this sort of suppression of really good news. If that suppression is removed, I think it's a coiled spring. So in that scenario, I think we do exceptionally well.
Crypto coiled spring, I agree.
Is there anything else that needs to happen to get us to Bitcoin at 200K by the end of the year?
I don't think so. You have these three horsemen of insatiable demand for Bitcoin. You have the ETFs, which I continue to think will have strong net flows this year. You have companies. We saw MicroStrategy buying more Bitcoin. I think the number of companies buying
XRP has real utility. No telling what's going on behind the scenes.
Buying Bitcoin is going to triple this year. I think the game theory is on. It's slower than people maybe want in this impatient crypto world, but I think countries around the world are going to be buying Bitcoin. So there is structurally more demand than supply in Bitcoin. I think all we need is to release this sort of economic gloom that's hanging over us. If we do that, I think it's straight to the races.
Reminder, he's coming to XRP Las Vegas. Go to xrplasvegas.com. Records have been shattered from last year's record, which was the new record last year, and there's a ton of people coming. It's going to be wild. Go to xrplasvegas.com. There's also Bitcoin Las Vegas. You can go to Google that, Bitcoin Las Vegas. It's in the 3 days. It's for 3 days, and I think 3 days. And then right after that is XRP Las Vegas. It'll be a wild week. Here's what's going on from Smoke.
3 years ago, I was definitely on record saying institutions are here. And I can tell you today I was completely wrong. We're starting to see the actual institutional adoption today. And the signs are both because of the kind of players that are coming in, or the kind of contracts that we have at Talos today are with some of the largest institutional players in the world today. That was not the case 3 years ago. There was a lot of interest and there was a lot of conversations, but today people are actually doing something. Having said that, it still feels like the very beginning of what they're doing. What we are seeing is the conversation is a lot more mature. For instance, the most typical question that we get from our institutional clients is, who should we trade with? That was really not the, like back in the day, they would just say like, hey, open up the floodgates. Let's go do counterparty with all these kind of players. People are a lot more careful today.
Okay. And then this is the Modern Investor. He's been putting out some really good stuff. He knows what's coming for XRP.
We keep hearing XRP, we keep hearing Ethereum, we keep hearing Bitcoin. There are other coins like in the pool with them, but we're constantly hearing these coins over and over. So the news basically for this is that they're working on a bunch of new features on the XRP blockchain, yada, 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 so and so and so. The one that stands out the most is the actual tokenization of other assets, but also the idea of DeFi. I think these are going to be gigantic. What I think, what do you call it? What I think will be the major tipping point, we're going to have like staking and stuff like that on these chains, but I think it's when there's like an ease of it. When you can go to like a crypto exchange, buy 1,000 XRP, and then go stake immediately. That's when I think like these, like, that's when I think we'll see like $150 XRP, like really, really, really. We keep hearing XRP, we keep hearing Ethereum, we keep hearing.
I agree with him. All right, here's another article. We had one yesterday, now we got one today. Just in increasing numbers of crypto companies are seeking bank charters to grow their business under the Trump administration, per Reuters. Now, my understanding is that all this would go through the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. And if you remember, don't quote me, but I want to say that at some point, Ripple had filed something that seemed like it was in this direction in the state of Wyoming. Okay? I keep asking, is there going to be a Ripple infrastructure bank? Because that's what it feels like this thing turns into. Do you remember when Miguel Valles was running XRP markets for Ripple and said this?
Like, how do you intend to distribute the rest of the XRP then?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, Mahir. And I don't necessarily know that we'll ever distribute all of it. In my mind's eye, there's a possibility where, we end up more of a lending kind of, more of a lender of last resort capacity, maybe. I think that would be a little strange for a software company, and maybe some things would have to change structurally. Maybe we have to have a different organization or something. Who knows, right?
I would like to be a lender of last resort with my XRP as well. Now, this is Bo Hines. I think that's who this is. Let's see. Executive Director for Digital Assets. I think that's his name, Bo Hines. Listen to what he says.
Well, we delivered on the president's promises that he made on the campaign trail. The president was adamant about creating the SBR. We wanted to make sure that we did it right in a way that respected Bitcoin for being so unique, and also gave credence to innovation in other spaces of the digital asset world. So, for us here, we look at Bitcoin, it's not a security, it's a commodity. It has intrinsic stored value that's traditionally accepted. It has, as David likes to describe, the immaculate conception. There's no issuer. And, that's why, as you saw in the executive order, we compared this to digital gold. It's something that's imperative for the United States to have, retain, continue to build on. And I think that's worth pointing out that, the way that this is constructed, we talked about ways of acquiring more Bitcoin in budget neutral ways that won't cost the taxpayer a dime. And what I like to say about this president, I think it's high time that our president started accumulating assets for the American people, which is what President Trump is doing, rather than taking it away. And I think that's one thing that we really wanted to make clear in this executive order. And we're looking forward to working with our partners at Treasury and the Secretary of Commerce in order to find those budget neutral ways in which we can acquire more. I've been asked all the time, it's like, how much do you want? I said, well, that's like asking a country, how much gold do you want, right? I mean, as much as we can get.
They want as much as they can get. Look at this. XRP attracted an additional $1.8 million in institutional investment over the past week, while institutional confidence in crypto sector appears subdued. Overall, these pockets of resilience indicate that investor interest persists beneath the surface. Oh, you better believe they're hiding their investor interest in XRP. Dan Fisher from Ripple, he's the let me see what his exact title is. Community Relations Manager. XRP RLUSD is a market maker's dream. Look at LMAX Group. Digital clients can now access Ripple USD, RLUSD stablecoin. This expansion of our institutional trading infrastructure to include RLUSD continues to highlight our commitment to provide institutions with efficient and transparent market access to the most liquid assets. You can see where all this is going. Now, this is Crypto America. This is where Eleanor Terrett went, and apparently doing an interview with Hester Pierce. Crypto in America is the name of her podcast.
So the Division of Corporation Finance at the SEC put out a statement saying, look, meme coins, as broadly understood, and you can look at the statement to kind of understand how we're looking at them, are not securities. And I think that the thinking is there's a lot of activity now in that space. And it's really important for people to know who are buying meme coins that they're not getting the protection of the securities laws. That doesn't mean that there aren't other anti-fraud regimes out there that might cover them, but they should know that these are not securities within the securities ambit.
All right. I'm not buying meme coins. Okay. I want to just see this. What I find interesting about Robbie Mitchnick is he never, ever talks about his history at being with Ripple before he went to BlackRock to head the digital assets. And to this day, all he talks about is Bitcoin, 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 and that is a tell for me.
For more, we're bringing in Robbie Mitchnick, Global Head of Digital Assets at BlackRock, which of course has the biggest ETF that is pegged to Bitcoin. Robbie, it's good to see you, first of all. I guess, first of all, if you can help us set the scene by explaining perhaps why Bitcoin has not done better, right? There were so many hopes pinned on this White House, the big vibe shift, deregulation, and we have seen some actual concrete moves in that direction, but we haven't seen price follow. Why not?
Sure. Well, I think it's important to take some time perspective on it, right? Which is Bitcoin is still up, let's call it 15% or so since the beginning of November, right? So you saw a pretty extraordinary rally, right into the end of 2024. You've seen Bitcoin, the crypto market, give some of that back. I think that there were maybe accelerated, perhaps premature expectations of just how quickly some of these catalysts would start to arrive. Our focus now, as we look at what's to unfold in 2025, is more about the pace of institutional and wealth advisory adoption, which has showed, frankly, a lot of momentum coming into 2025, and that hasn't really abated even in this price environment.
So I'm interested, given that, what do Bitcoin ETF flows look like? What have they looked like? What do you expect ahead?
Yeah, well, obviously 2024 was pretty incredible, pretty historic on that front. 2025 to start has been more negative. We've seen some outflows in the category, relatively modest in the context of the overall asset base, which is close to 100 billion. Just over a year into their existence. A lot of that outflow that we've seen so far seems to be a little bit of hedge fund unwinding of the spot futures arbitrage trade, and less so in sort of the more long buy and hold directional investors that make up the fund. So you've seen the yields that hedge funds were clipping in that trade, go from double digits to low single digits. And that's, I think, a lot of what's driven some of the outflows we've seen.
Robbie, as you know, there are a lot of different reasons that people buy and hold Bitcoin. But as you also know, it's frequently referred to as digital gold, right? A store of value. Here we are in a period of time where people are feeling nervous about the economy, and it's not performing like gold. Gold is performing like gold. People are buying gold, but they're not buying Bitcoin. Can you help explain what's going on there?
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating thing, Julie. What we've seen is, if you look at Bitcoin fundamentally on a long-term basis, it really seems like an asset that should be uncorrelated or even inversely correlated against certain risk factors that exist, right? But
folks, you don't have to hear much of this to realize all this is an op. In fact, I tweeted this morning, as long as you're releasing the JFK files, why not release the Bitcoin files? And I believe years down the road, there will be calls to release the Bitcoin files. This was no libertarian in his mommy's basement in a bathrobe or whatever, the Satoshi. That's bullcrap. And while you're at it, release the ETHgate files, the Hinman IG report. Folks, come on. Okay. We're going to go in DAIXRP.com, and we're going to talk about two things. DAIXRP.com if you want to join through the Patreon, or if you'd rather join, some people prefer to join the group through YouTube. You can click the join button right below this video, and it's the cost of a cup of coffee. Now, what we're going to talk about is two things. One, anytime the markets get down like they're boring and kind of quiet, anytime it's like this, a lot of people lose sight, especially when it lasts a while. Everybody loses sight of what's on the horizon. We're going to talk about what's on the horizon for XRP. The other thing we're going to talk about is yesterday the JFK files were released, and I've been going through, when something like this many documents is released, you have to kind of sit back. I'm one of those people that likes to sit back and wait for the Cliff Notes version. Let the other people read through all that stuff. I don't have that kind of time. Don't want to read through all that stuff. And I pulled out the most interesting things that I saw from those files, and I'll show you that. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Let's go talk about, put some XRP perspective on things. Here we go.